Soni, your host for the broadcast and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive interview series with our digital innovators of India, an exclusive interview series powered by Rockwell Automation. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. It gives me an immense pleasure in introducing our guest for today. We have Mr. Manoranjan Kumar, the Chief Information Officer at Shree Cement Limited. Mr. Manoranjan has 40 plus years of rich experience working for several brands such as Shree Cement, Trident Group, Lanco Infratech, Rockwell Automation, and many more. He has experience heading existing large IT teams of 100 plus IT professionals, which consists of senior IT professionals, system administrators, SAP developers, and SAP function consultants as well. Mr. Manoranjan has been recognized with the Indian Express Technology Award for implementing RPA and also has received 100 Most Innovative CIO CTOs of India, along with many other honors. Sir, it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much.
Great. I'm also accompanied by Arvind Kakru, the director at Rockwell Automation India. Arvind leads the end user, OEM, EPC, and industry business segments for Rockwell Automation in India and South Asia. He's responsible for executing the country's strategy to achieve sales for all the segments by industry verticals, regions, and business units. Arvind brings in a rich experience of more than 24 years with various entities of General Electronic like GE, GE Intelligent Platforms, Power Conversion, GE Energy Management, and most recently with GE Power as regional leader for automation and controls, India and South Asia. Arvind, it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So I'd like to start with putting across my first question for Mr. Manoranjan. So if you can give us a quick brief about Shree Cements. We've all heard of the brand, but it'd be great to hear it from you.
Yeah, we are a leading cement manufacturing company in India, and we are one of the largest manufacturing of cements in India. And we have acquired a company in Dubai also. That was a government company which has been acquired by us, and then we are also now utilizing that manufacturing facility for the nearby countries. We are also into power generation, captive, and for supply, and we are now getting into renewable energy also. Our major brands are the Jangrodhak and Bangur Cement and Rockstrong Cement. Bangur Cement, I think everybody knows that Sasta Nahi Sabse Achha, that tagline is there. This company is owned by Mr. Bangur and Bangur family, and it's now listed into the CDEC also. So we have done this year almost 11,000 crore business, and this is a turnover of our company. As if I can tell you about the IT and other thing, we are at very advanced stage on the IT adoptions by users and by the people. A lot of technology has gone into the production and also into the business automation, like transaction analysis and IoT. So those things are there in place. But we can't say that everything we have implemented. It's just a journey, and technologies every day it is coming up. New technologies are coming up, and we have to adopt as per the requirement of the business. So we have to marry the technology, and we have to marry along with the business requirements. So that kind of the adoption things are also there in place. So this is what a very brief of Shree Cement and ourselves.
Awesome, wonderful to hear from you. Great. So my follow-up question on that is, like you said, it is very important to manage business and the technology in today's time and even in the future. So what are the strategies that Shree Cement plan to implement to achieve the vision of becoming a digital innovator and digital transformed organization in the cement industry specifically?
time to time, what we do is we identify the technologies, evolving technologies available in the market and adopted by people, or they are planning to adopt for their business. And we identify whether these technologies are really useful for us. And if it is useful, then we have to identify, and we are identifying that in which area these technologies are being used, or these technology can be helpful in our business.
Right.
For example, like if we say, if I tell you about the RFID things, it is a very old technology, but adoption into the business things was now recently it has come few years back. And then we adopted this for our logistics system. Similarly, related to IoT. So we are also adopting IoT for our production system and other things. So new technology, if you talk about that is related to like visual analytics. So a lot of things are there where we can implement visual analytics. So we have started implementing into the security area and such kind of thing. So this is the evolving thing. Like we identify the available technology, and at the same time, we also identify where is the business need in our organization. In this journey, we also get help from external agency and from our senior management. We do all those analysis, discussion, and then we adopt those technologies.
Great. I would also want to put a follow-up question on that to Arvind. While you interact with a lot of technology leaders in the cement industry as well, so wanted to hear from you, what are the typical challenges that you've seen that technology leaders face, especially in the cement industry, when considering digital transformation or becoming a digital innovator company?
Yeah. So if you actually try to look at it, as industry and digital as a technology, cement as an industry and digital as a technology. So what are the drivers? I think we need to look at them. For example, technology is a big factor. Technology-led innovations are driving a lot of those things, and we see that in the consumer world to a very large extent. Industrial is catching up, although at a slow speed, but definitely, we'll get there. Then there's an angle of regulation, which could be driven by statutory regulation, quality. It could be compliance related or manufacturing standards related. Then there is this ESG impact, which is more related to sustainability, environment, social governance, all those kind of things, right? And cement is possibly a big kind of, I would say, industry that gets impacted by ESG. Then you look at operations which are complex, right? Within a particular manufacturing location, or you have pan-India or global footprint, which kind of determines the complexity, and a lot of those things come into play, right? And then of late, we've seen very recently supply chain disruptions, which are driven by the volatile business dynamics. You suddenly saw that demand kind of going nowhere, and suddenly it picks up, very quickly, and those kind of things. How do you manage the transactions at the back end and make your connected cement plant a big reality? And to a large extent, consumers are driving some insights, which is data driven, and they are demanding certain things, not on the industrial side so much, but it will pick up, it will get there as well, when people will have more information on their hands, and they will be driven by a lot of those things which will determine, how manufacturers will behave. There are things related to, I would say, workforce demographics, faster time to market, and so on, right? And if I look at cement industry as a whole, it contributes to a single high-digit percentage of global CO2 emissions, globally, which is then putting up increased pressure for more stringent emission standards and decarbonization and things like that, right? So, those are the things that people have to focus on, and they can't be done if you don't have the focus on lowering the operating costs and driving higher asset values. And they can all be kind of done only using digital, I would say, technologies, and you have interconnected operations, interconnected, plants, and those kind of things, And if I kind of touch to the element of, what we bring to the table, or anyone would kind of explore in a digital direction in that way. So I would say, look at more ESG goals in terms of how you kind of look at sustainable cement production, look at upstream, downstream processes, from fuel production to dealing with emissions, drive productivity, which is like efficiency, quality, reduce the scrap and those kind of things, understand the sensing and the data analytics, that allows cement plants, manufacturers and managers to kind of make better decisions about the operations. Process improvements is a big thing. Within that, I think looking at equipment, how you kind of reduce the downtime also, that's a big thing. Consumption of energy, it's again a guzzler of energy, cement as an industry. So that is again a big thing. If you reduce consumption of energy and give a more detailed view and picture of the operations, that'll be a great thing, for any manufacturer. So those are some of the things. If you go a little bit deeper into the complexity of digital kind of technologies that could be used, advanced process control, model predictive controls, which is more around production increases in kiln applications and mill applications, fuel savings, and reducing even the process and the quality variability. Those would be the things that will be definitely kind of very, very useful. And I'll just touch upon a couple of more things. AR/VR is like kind of picking up. It's been there for some time and in some different industries to a very large extent, but they could result in kind of improving the safety of the operations. People do things remotely, which has kind of increased now to a very large extent. And also, in case of natural disasters and other issues which are related to supply chain disruptions, those things could be very, very helpful, saving both time and money, and replacing the need to physically transport people, so that's a big thing. And the last element is cybersecurity. I think we need to kind of look at that, because if you have integration of IT and OT to a very large extent, that is very necessary for building a very secure, robust, future-ready, network, for a very connected cement plant.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you've touched on the very important elements that to be considered. So great. Mr. Manoranjan, my question to you next is to understand how is Shree Cements responding to new technologies like IoT, analytics, AR. I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
We have started using IoT and things like the AR and other thing. IoT is being used in our mainly into the logistic and the transportation area. Same time, we are also now in a phase of implementing this IoT technology in our OT area, the operational technology area, where he has pointed out like to get those machine data and then analyze them and predict them, like these machines are going to failure or these machine required the preventive maintenance and the utilization of the machine, the consumption of energy. So those area we are now in phase of implementation. Apart from that, we are another thing yet to start, because we are identifying the area where we can put this for the implementation, where at least we can show some tangible and intangible benefit also, because we are such a company where we need to identify the area before putting up this technology, the benefit, we have to justify the investment also. So that kind of things we have started doing.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as a CIO, I mean, what are your thoughts about end-to-end optimization via digital twin? And how can digital twin allow a cement company to mirror the entire production process through a digital model? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, digital twin is a very useful thing for manufacturing company, where it's integrated from start to end. And if I talk about it, is really very useful for the company who are there into the process manufacturing kind of thing. In the cement industry, of course, our things are related to our products. Some things are related to the market consumption, market condition, weather forecasting, and then also the festival which are going into Indian subcontinent or continent kind of thing. So that creates a demand. And based on that demand, our things are also related to the production. So what we do is we can't produce or we can't predict that these cements are going to consume in the market in a specific duration. There are durations, like in rainy season, consumptions are less. So those are already predicted things are there.
Right.
So what we have to, these digital twin will help in cement industry is auto predict those things, integrate with the production system, and the the production capacity can be planned as per the things. So the digital twin will help in a lot of area like predictive analysis, pre and plan production, safety measures. So those areas are there where we can implement digital twin, and it is going to very evolving technology where cement industry is kind of area where we will be implementing these things.
Got it. Awesome. Awesome. And so, I mean, according to you, what are top success criterias that are required to build a digital transformed organization?
The success part is there. It's not only implementing the technology. After implementing any technology, what kind of benefit we are going to get that things. It is the day one after implementation that we will not be able to get any kind of benefit on the day one or day two. So we have to plan for that any technology, if we are going to implement in our kind of industry or any kind of industry or Indian industry, it is not only that people are implementing, so we should also try and implement those things. We have to see what kind of benefit we are going to get out of it after implementation. It is really going to give benefit to the bottom line of profitability. It is also going to give benefit to the employee, their health and their happiness. So before implementing any technology, we as a cement company or as a technology leader, we have to identify that really the investments are going to help the business. So this is what is my thought at least.
Great, awesome. Arvind, if you would want to add up to that, while you're also interacting with a lot of CIOs in the industry, if you want to add, what are the top success criteria for a digital transformed organization?
So I think Mr. Manoranjan touched upon, most of the factors, but if you got to kind of be very successful, and it varies, from one company to another, what is their digital maturity level and how do they want to kind of take it forward, and what is the problem they want to solve, or what is it that they want to kind of look at, in terms of their overall business, goal. So I think it's very important to kind of understand, where they want to go, a particular company wants to go, define that roadmap, digital roadmap, and then break it up into phases, in my view, to a very large extent, because it's very complex. People can go for a lot of those things, but actually fall flat because it is complex. There's a technology angle to it, there's a people angle to it, there's an adoption angle to it within the manufacturing location. There is a insecurity involved with the job losses. There are factors which are beyond just technology. In all of this, there is that workforce alignment required. People have to be digital literate, so to say. Those kind of things also would factor in. So I think they have to be all put together, and then kind of break up your plan into smaller kind of outcomes or wins, and that possibly would help in a larger, more mature digital strategy overall, for the companies.
Awesome, awesome. And while this has been one of the key priorities, and as we evolve even in the industry, how is Rockwell Automation, helping organization, and what are the best practices that organization can look at while evaluating technology partners like yours?
See, digital transformation is an innovation and productivity accelerator, that's for sure. But at the same point of time, I said it's a complex endeavor, right? Today, if you look at it, almost 1/6 of the industrial organizations have embarked on enterprise-wide digital transformation, which is a big number, but comparatively less, right? But again, people have to look at overall, as I was saying, the whole plan, end to end, right? And look at partners, who can work with them on a strategy or a larger business plan, that addresses priority use cases, business justification, change management, and a total roadmap for technology implementation also, right? It's changing at such a fast pace that, people got to be very cognizant of, what they're trying to do. And they all are customized to very unique objectives and a very different maturity level. Now, if you go a little bit deeper in terms of what you want from your partners, I think you look at the industrial experience, domain, vertical application, sub applications, what is their capability over there? What is the use case coverage that is more on the technology side of it? You look at the partnerships they have, as such, one company cannot go end to end on a digital kind of roadmap or the full digitalization across an enterprise, right? You need multiple technologies and partnerships. How well is that going? That's one more factor to kind of look at. Look at what is their execution capability, look at what is their talent, in terms of execution, what is the overall portfolio they carry. Also, what is the service offering breadth? How do they sustain it over a total cost of ownership, which is spanning at least 3 to 5 years, right? And also looking at, organization that is specific to the supplier or the vendor, or the partner, you call it. What is their vision? What is the financial viability of them, strength of them? What is the existence? If we see a lot of those companies, and since these are digital technology, they have to be maintained and supported over a period of time. You should be partnering with a company that is there for the long term, and has total ecosystem recognition, has good market penetration, visibility, delivery presence. Is that significance? Is it going to be a fly-by-night operation, or is it going to be sustainable over decades? I think people have to look at all of those things when they look at the partnership models. And then finally, a little bit on the execution side, how much flexible they are to your demands, because a lot of times people don't understand it's not a fixed equipment buy, it's a service, but that too a little bit complex. Everyone is having their own idea of what the service finally delivers for them as an outcome. So I think some of these things are very critical for people to evaluate. Sometimes you also look at the past record, in terms of preferences or what people have delivered, not only in India but globally also. I think those are critical things for people to look at.
Great insights. Awesome. One last question, Mr. Manarajan, for you. If you can share certain best practices, certain do's and don'ts as a CIO for our peers in the industry, any last pointers that you want to highlight?
So if I talk about the best practices, that depends industry to industry or organization to organization, right? There is no best practices available for a standard way. Okay, we adopt this and then we'll really reach to the moon. So this is not that way. Best practices are there. That's what is adopting of technology needs to be very carefully. We should adopt it, and we have to see that rightly. Mr. Arvind has said that it depends on the company's maturity level and the people adoption. So that way we have to see which application or which technology we are going to adopt, and which technology is really going to give output after implementation of such technology. So there is no Bible or no such kind of that we can say that this is the best practice you adopt. These days, like clouds are going on. We can't say that you adopt cloud and then you will get a lot of SLS IT management. It's not like that. So depending on that kind of things are available. So we have to see, and we have to very carefully pick and choose those technologies which are really going to help the business and help the people also.
Great. Absolutely wonderful insights. This brings to an end of our episode. So I would like to thank Mr. Manarajan and Arvind for taking out time and coming on this platform of CIO News. I'm sure our viewers are going to get some key takeaways out of it. So thank you so much. And it was a pleasure to host both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khushbu, for having us. Thank you.